Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Very important reminder, please join me on locals. The link will be down below the video. Every other link, as always, you also find in the description box or in the pinned comment section. Today, I have back with me Scott Ritter. Welcome back, Scott.
Thanks for having me.
So let's jump straight into the questions that I have for you. I have 4 questions, but we see during the conversation we might actually have more. How much longer they will be dragging this conflict? And can you give us the time frame in your opinion?
Well, let's just start off by saying that Russia isn't operating on any calendar that I'm aware of. I have yet to see a Russian official say, we need to achieve X by this date. Because they are outcome driven. So any answer I give to you is based upon my assessment on how long it will take Russia to achieve an outcome. The stated outcome being demilitarization, denazification, and basically creating a neutral Ukraine. And then that's based upon an assessment of what I think Russia will be doing. But Russia doesn't respond to me. I don't pick up the phone and tell Putin, hurry it up on the Kherson front, boss. Ritter needs you to go faster because he's committed to a date. They don't care. They've shown they don't care. I think they wanted this to be done quickly. That's the nature of the special military operation, was based on premise that there wouldn't be resistance, not to the level that was achieved. Or provided by the Ukrainians. Then they shifted to an altered campaign that focused solely on the Donbass, but they weren't willing to take the casualties necessary to liberate the Donbass quickly. So it became more of a protracted struggle as they literally ground their way through Ukrainian defenses, killing a whole bunch of Ukrainians, minimizing Russian losses. But that provided NATO time to spend billions of dollars worth of equipment in, allowing Ukraine to reconstitute an army that took advantage of the fact that the Russians, having transitioned from the quick, easy victory to a grinding operation, didn't increase the number of resources provided. So they had resources that were inadequate to the scope of the task they were trying to accomplish. And the Ukrainians, with this new NATO army, launched their counterattack. They retook Kharkov. They seized part of the Kherson, but the Russians have consolidated their defenses, and the Ukrainians are literally committing suicide on the Russian defenses. It's like watching zombies run into the spikes. It's tragic. Now Russia's building up, and it's up to Russia to decide when they want. I mean, this is a decision that commanders make on the ground. They have a new general. And I've been told that I pronounce his name incorrectly every time I say it. I think I'm supposed to say the following, Surovikin. So I think I got it right this time.
Surovikin?
Right. I would say something like that, and then people were telling me, because anytime somebody corrects my Russian, I have to assume they're correct because I don't speak Russian very well. But Surovikin, whatever is the general's name, I respect the general. I'm not mocking him. General Armageddon, if we want to use the Western nickname for him. I think it's a Russian nickname that the West has appropriated, but he's the guy who makes the decision. And he's made it clear in his various presentations that he is a mission-oriented guy, but he's driven by conditions that will minimize casualties amongst civilians and minimize Russian losses. He is not willing to throw away Russian lives. War is a dirty, nasty business. And believe it or not, even though human life is fragile, men die hard. Men don't die easy. So anybody who's out there looking for a quick Russian victory, hey guys, Ukrainian men aren't just going to stand up and take a bullet in the head for your convenience. They're going to die hard. They're going to fight. Humans hold on to life. They scratch. And troops that are in a desperate situation will oftentimes be empowered with the virility of desperation, and they fight hard. It's not easy to kill a person. It's really not that easy. And so this war is going to take time. I can't sit there and say this should happen or that should happen, or I can't say the Russians want this to happen by that date, et cetera. What I can do is say that the military situation on the ground is related to the geopolitical, the economic reality that encompasses this conflict. The Ukrainians are not able to sustain this fight without the continuous, nonstop provision of money and material from the West. And we're seeing that the West is losing the appetite to continue feeding this baby with black caviar. You know, they were happy to give it, but now the caviar costs too much. They're running out of caviar. The baby's demanding more. They don't have it. So, and then the other problem is Ukraine itself is dying. And there's no glee in this. Ukraine is dying. The nation is dying. The electricity is off. It's not coming back on. The infrastructure is destroyed. Even when the electricity wants to come back on, the nation is destroyed. Done, finished. And this is the reality that the Ukrainian army is operating in. The Ukrainian army is totally dependent upon outside assistance. The nation of Ukraine is no longer able to sustain that military force. So as the nation dies, as the West turns away, the Ukrainian army will wither. This winter is going to be extraordinarily difficult for these Ukrainian soldiers. First of all, they've burned up all of their offensive strike capability. The notion that Ukraine is going to carry out some sort of winter offensive once the ground solidifies is absurd. The reality is snow is coming, or as they say in Game of Thrones, winter is coming. And when these Ukrainians move, because right now they're dug in. If you take a look at the videos, there's greenery, there's trees, there's leaves. And the Ukrainian troops are operating underneath the leaves in these forest belts that are their lines of defense. And the Russians have to send drones up and they're looking for them. And when they find them, they get them, but they're not getting everybody. In wintertime, Ukrainians, there's going to be no leaves. They're going to come out of their bunker and they're going to go off and do what you do. And the footprints are going to go out and the footprints are going to come back. They're going to get in vehicles. Vehicles are going to arrive with a giant track set that points exactly to where they are. And the Russians are going to be up there with their drones going, gotcha. And they're going to take them out with artillery, pound them to death, kill everybody. Because artillery, men may die hard, artillery kills harder. And they're going to just blow these guys to hell. And then the Russians are going to come in because now they have the resources to carry out doctrinal advance, doctrinal offensive operations. And so what I think is you're going to see a culmination of the collapse of Western will and ability to sustain Ukraine, the collapse of Ukraine's ability to sustain the army, and the Russians grinding down the army. And that's going to sequence into sort of a rapid Russian military / political victory. I think that the Russians will have the Ukrainians on the run. Here's the problem, though. The only problem is I think they'll have them on the run this winter. But then the Russians will run into the same old problem. They're going to extend their lines. Let's say the Russians do what I think they're going to do, what everybody else thinks they do, which is solve the Transnistria problem and complete the job of destroying Ukraine as a modern industrial state by taking Odessa, linking up to Transnistria, cutting Ukraine off from ports, strangling Ukraine economically. I think that's after stabilizing the front, I think that's their next objective. It's more important than Kharkov. So I think they're going to do that. But in doing that, they're extending the line of contact with Ukraine by, I don't know, 1.2 thousand kilometers? They need troops now to hold that line and to hold Odessa and to hold. So they have sufficient forces available to do that, but then they're going to need more troops for the next stage. Now, the next stage isn't going to be as difficult because the Ukrainian army will have been destroyed, but there still will be people fighting. And here's the other thing. There will be a great potential of Poland to think, oh, now's the time to make a move on Western Ukraine, especially if the Russians have overextended themselves, haven't brought up sufficient forces to carry on, and Poland may make the move. This is why Russia has positioned 80,000 troops in Belarus. This is why the Belarusian army is moving up and forming a joint operational group to be prepared to respond to that. And that may be the trigger that can make, so the Russians may come in, take Odessa, and then the Belarus operational group may come down and secure Western Ukraine and strangle Kiev. Who knows what's going to happen? I just described one scenario. General Armageddon might be chuckling, going, "You're a clever boy, Ritter, but that ain't the plan. I have a better plan." I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is. It's his plan, not mine. But I do believe that all of the circumstances we've talked about will reach a culmination in the spring, early summer from a military standpoint. And then from a political standpoint, I do think the Russians will have this thing tied up with a nice little bow on the box by the fall. I don't see Ukraine surviving past the fall of 2023. They may collapse sooner, but I just can't envision how, one, Russia would allow this struggle to continue that much longer, because this is a strain on Russia. And two, the European political landscape is going to be radically transformed over the course of this winter. Governments may no longer be in government. And so Europe's ability or willingness or desire to provide the same level of support. Yes, it's one thing for the new British Prime Minister, whose name Sunak. I don't want to get in trouble.
Yes, Sunak. Mm-hmm.
One of the first calls he made to Ukraine: "Hey, I'm going to support." How much longer is he going to be in office? He's not elected. He has no support. He has no plan. He's inherited the same garbage policies from Johnson and Truss. So he can make that phone call all he wants. It ain't going to solve the problems that are confronting the United Kingdom, Great Britain. And he's going to be out. And at some point in time, the British are going to get a prime minister whose first phone call is going to be to the British people, saying, "I'm here to support you. I'm here to help you. I'm here to make policies that help you," instead of calling Ukraine. I mean, what the hell kind of British leader ignores the plight of his people to pick up the phone and score cheap political points by calling the height of international democracy Volodymyr Zelensky? He's not. He's a failed leader of a failed nation, but you're scoring cheap points to your real boss, the United States, who you're trying to appease. He's not going to last much longer. Somebody else is going to come in. England's out of the picture. You already have France starting to question this whole policy. Germany has no clue what they want. They don't know who they are anymore, because they're definitely not Europe's premier economic power anymore. They're a pathetic little shell of a nation that allowed the United States to attack their lifeline to Russia and never utter a peep. What kind of nation stands by silently while your erstwhile friend and ally attacks a $12 billion piece of critical energy infrastructure? Germany. So they're pathetic. The Italians, they have Giorgio Meloni, who knows what she's thinking. Again, she makes the phone call. She sends the tweet. But the Italian people don't want her to make that phone call. They want her to do what she said she was going to do on the campaign, which is to put Italy first. Well, if you're putting Italy first, then don't call Zelensky, because Zelensky doesn't help Italy at all. Nothing. Tell me one thing Ukraine does that benefits Italy. Nothing. Nothing at all. Helping Ukraine hurts Italy. It hurts Italy from a moral standpoint. You're helping Nazis, damn it, and your nation should know better. The nation of Mussolini. Come on now, do better, Italy. The economy, your economy can sustain billions of euros flowing out to a failed cause. And who helped you in the pandemic? Ukraine? How many Ukrainian Air Force planes landed on your airfields offloading medical support during the pandemic? None. How many Russian planes did? A whole bunch. And the Italian people remember. The Italian people know. And eventually, if Giorgio Meloni wants to stay in power, he's going to have to bend her work to the will of the people. Europe's being transformed. America, we're collapsing. This is tragic for me as an American. I don't enjoy being part of a global, hegemon. I don't want that. But America could be so much better. We are the nation with the greatest potential to do good in the world. No nation can match our abilities to project our influence abroad. And the world used to be a receptacle that wanted America to be good, wanted this to happen. But we've turned the world off. And Vladimir Putin's speech at the Valdai organization yesterday, it'll go down in history as one of the most important speeches of our time. Literally, when you talk about the rise and fall of America, and somebody will write that book someday, there will be before Valdai and there will be after Valdai. Because Putin put the marker on the table and he's called it as it is. This American singularity is over. It's collapsing. The world is rejecting it. I, Vladimir Putin, reject it. Russia rejects it. But he's saying it's not Russia's place to come in and replace America. Russia doesn't want to do that. Russia wants a world of equals, a world of a multipolar world, not this American singularity world. This speech was so powerful. The words in it were just dead on. And while America may not read it and comprehend it, the world is. I'm pretty sure everywhere in the world today, people are talking about Putin's speech. In America, of course, we're talking about the World Series. We're talking about whether or not Elon Musk is going to bring Donald Trump back into Twitter. We're talking about anything but the most important speech of our times.
Thank you, Scott. You actually answered my second question without me even asking it. And I want to now go into this here with few things.
What was your second question, just so people know?
Well, actually, it was about the end of American hegemony and that speech of Putin. And this, I just would like to get a quick answer to this, if you can tell me.
Quick answer, I got it.
Because I look at this from the spiritual standpoint. I see this as a battle between good versus evil. That's how I look at it. And I just wonder how, in your opinion, US will react, because I feel this is absolutely a punch in the ego. It's identity with a huge overblown ego. So there could be two ways. It might become even more aggressive because it feels the ego is threatened now. That's my first vision. And second is, maybe with time, it won't react as drastically and somehow will still attack, but in a less drastic way. So if you can tell me what you think about that.
No, it's good. Look, let's put it this way. Let's view Putin's speech as an intervention. You know, the kind of intervention you have with, say, an alcoholic, where you sit the alcoholic down and you intervene. You say, this is that, this has to change, it's unacceptable, etc. One of the first things an alcoholic is going to do is go into denial. I'm not a drunk. I'm not that. You're weak. You're the weak person bringing this up. The fact that you have to sit here and talk like that, you're the weak person. I'm not the weak person. And that's what we're seeing. We're seeing that all these defenders of the American way are coming out afterwards and saying Putin's speech is a sign of weakness. This is what a weak man does. You see, Russia's so weak that Putin, the only thing they can do right now is have Putin give this speech. And the whole purpose of the speech is to divide people. That's what the alcoholics say. You're trying to turn my family against me. You're trying to turn my friends against me. You're coming here with this speech. You're trying to turn everybody against me. And that's where America is right now. Denial. No, that's not right. You're the weak person. Okay. You're trying to divide people. And now what are the consequences? We're going to go back drinking. So America is going to keep doing what it does.
Okay.
But now, where the rules-based international order, which is what American hegemony is about, does not serve the interests of the American people. And we're going to see something happen in November, early November, when the midterm elections come in. We're going to see the Democrats wiped off the congressional map. I mean, there'll still be some Democrats there, but the Republicans are going to take the House. They're probably take the Senate. And the message being sent by the American people isn't, oh, we love the Republicans. The message being sent is the Democrats have betrayed us. Democrats aren't looking out for us. Whatever Joe Biden thinks he's doing, it's not helping us. And what is Joe Biden doing? Promoting the rules-based international order, promoting this flawed concept that American democracy is the most important thing in the world and that the world should automatically gravitate towards us because we have this wonderful center, this mass that everybody is attracted to. No, the world isn't gravitating to America because America no longer holds an attraction. We're an ugly nation nowadays. We're ugly externally, how we interact with the world, and we're ugly internally. Walk the streets of America and look at the plight of the homeless. I don't have to go far. I can get in my car. If you were here, I could get in my car right now. Within 5 minutes, I will point out homeless people on the streets, in the bushes, and the weather's getting colder, and nobody's doing a damn thing for these people.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and well, what do? Yeah, I'm the kind of guy that stops and rolls down my window, opens up my wallet, and gives them all the cash in my wallet. But I'm not rich, so there's not much cash in my wallet. Am I solving the problem by doing that? No, I'm addressing a symptom. I'm not solving the problem. I alone can't solve the problem. Society must solve the problem, but we're electing the wrong people into office because they want to promote the rules-based international order. Well, the American people are getting fed up with it. They're getting fed up with it. And sooner or later, what's going to happen is there's going to be a gap between the goals of the establishment, and Biden is the personification of the establishment, and the needs of the American people. The establishment is empowered only so long as the American people elect people into higher office who promote the establishment view. Once we start electing people who promote the American people's view, the establishment becomes weaker and weaker and weaker. That's what's going to happen to America. America is not going to go down fighting like some giant Viking warrior, charging the bridge with the axe swinging, taking everybody down. No, no, no. It's going to be the Viking warrior in a hut, cold, hungry, weak, shivering because there's nothing there. That's not the future I want for my country. You know, so here's the question to the world. How are you going to help America? Because America needs your help. We don't need your help to enable us to go forth and conquer. We need your help so that we don't end up in a hut, cold and shivering. You know, we were there for the world at times. We were there. Lafayette, we are here. We went across the Atlantic in World War I. We stood up in World War II and defended democracy in the face of Imperial Japan and Nazi Germany. And we tried at the end of World War II. We failed, but we tried. I do believe there was good intent amongst the United States, but we didn't do it right. We became addicted to power. And now that addiction is killing us. It's literally killing us and destroying us. And so we are going to wither. We need the world's help so that we don't end up in a hut shivering. We need the world's help so we end up in a home, on a street, in a neighborhood where other people live in the same homes and we all work together as a community. We need help helping America transition from being a global hegemon into being a good member of the international community. That's the help we need. And listening to Putin's speech, I didn't hear any bitterness. I heard some anger. I mean, everybody has the right to be angry, but I didn't hear bitterness. I've done interviews with Russians a lot lately, and there's a lot of anger towards the United States, but there's no bitterness, and they don't want revenge. They want to live in peace. Now, people say, well, they're just saying that. Well, I'll tell you what, maybe they're just saying it, but you go interview any of their American counterparts and see how they talk about the Russians. You don't hear any American saying, I want to live in peace with the Russians. You don't hear any American of note saying, I like the Russian people. I want to be friends with the Russian people. No, we want to starve them. We want to strangle them. We want to, they're evil. Look at the difference of point of view. The Russians haven't done anything to us. Nothing. They're not doing a damn thing to us, and we're angry at them. Whereas we're doing everything to hurt these people. Everything. We're not just trying to hurt them, we're trying to kill them. And there's some anger there, but there's not revenge. There's not bitterness. I mean, my God, What a statement that is. America, be better. Russia, thank you. Thank you. But the rest of the world now has to take the Russian approach. How do you help the United States back away from the cliff, but not fall from the mountain? Back away from the cliff, but don't fall from the mountain. How do we get down the mountain relatively intact so that all the good that is inherent in this country can be brought to bear as part of a global community? There's the big question to the world, because America can't do it alone. We're incapable of it. We're broken. We're broken as a society. We can't even fix ourselves right now because we're so focused on BS. Ask the average American out there suffering right now because inflation's out of control, budgets aren't being made. Ask them how happy they are about all the money going to Ukraine. Not too many people are happy about it anymore. And pretty soon they're going to be asking the question about all the money going to NATO. They're going to be asking the question about, hey, if we confront China, the supply chain thing gets busted and our economy goes to hell. Do we really want that? Because Americans, we're a consumer-driven society. We're all about individual comfort, personal comfort. And the second you crack that, the second you make us uncomfortable, that's when we start to ask the questions we should have asked a long time ago. So we're in a domestic period of transition. And it's a dangerous period of time too, because during this transition, forces of radicalism could take over on either side. And I have to tell you, what's the difference between a neoliberal and a neoconservative? Not a damn thing. Not a damn thing, because they all believe at the end of the day of making America powerful and going out and gaining access to that abroad that we need to sustain this lifestyle here at home. They're the same people. They do promote the same policies. So we don't need these kind of radicals. We need the old-fashioned American center, the good neighbor. That's what we need.
You
asked me to give you a short answer, and I didn't.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I apologize.
That's no, but it's important. All of this, what you said, actually takes me to this question in the light of what you said. Very recently, I came across, and I will be making a separate video about this, very bright geopolitical expert in Poland, one of the very few people who actually has complete understanding and knowledge, also worked in Russia, I believe, of the current situation, current events, including Poland's place in it. And from listening to him, I've heard that there was and still is such a plan that, using Ukrainians, they are fighting Russia, which is obvious. Now, the plan is called like a bumper countries. So we had Ukraine. The next thing when Ukraine fails is Poland. And that's why I've asked you this, Scott, because I have a feeling that as US is getting weaker, observing the laws and regulations that are being passed in Poland just 2 days ago in Polish Senate Day, which is below same, but is very high. They announced Russia is a terrorist state, okay? But why I'm saying this is because I see this desperation, this speeding up of certain things. However, a lot of those laws they are trying to implement will come into fruition from next year, January 1st, if they are fully approved. So that bumper plan is very, very much on the list. And what I would like to ask you is this: if that comes to the point, because Polish government is not Polish government, it's Polish-speaking government. I have to say, sometimes people they just join me here, they don't know what I'm saying, but those are not people who are for the country. In my opinion, they are absolutely, and I will use the word that maybe is not a nice word. Poland became a prostitute of United States. I don't know exactly when that happened, but it did happen. I think it happened during Kwaśniewski's time, who was involved in Burisma, okay? That was the president of Poland. Nevertheless, here we are, everyone. And when I say this, it's not Polish everyone. It's not every Pole hates Russia. It's not. Because when I look at, now I'm talking a lot, I know, but I want to address this because it's
It's your
important.
program, talk all you want.
No, but because people like, don't talk so much, ask Scott. But
No, you
I
talk.
will ask from this, because now having understanding of what is the direction they are heading with all of this, do you think that there is still, in spite of Russia's very mature approach to all of this and absolutely awareness of all of it, do you think this conflict might escalate? And if it will, because there is some preparation from their side, you talk about Belarus, and I want to ask you, do you think, are there any other countries, do you think, that will be coming to support Russia? Any other armies? And if that happens, and I really hope not, if that happens, how that war will look like?
Okay. Let me start off by saying, and this, I'm going to get in trouble. I know I'm going to say something right now that's going to get me in trouble, but you brought up the term that you used, prostitute.
Yes.
There's expensive prostitutes and there's cheap prostitutes. The expensive prostitutes get taken out to expensive dinners. People buy them dresses. They put them in hotels. They treat them right because they're putting the money down to create an atmosphere. Then there's cheap prostitutes. They're just being used. They're being used. Poland's a cheap prostitute. Okay, if you're gonna go down that route, Poland's a cheap prostitute. Now, where does Russia fit into this? View Russia as a social worker. Okay, Russia takes a look and says prostitution is prostitution. It's bad. Shouldn't happen. But at least the expensive one has money to buy healthcare. Isn't starving and all that. But they take a look at the cheap prostitute and they say that's abuse. That's we have to enter. So that's how I think Russia views Poland, as a cheap prostitute in need of really good social care. Russia's not here to advance. Russia's not going to go out and take advantage of a cheap prostitute. Russia wants to live in peace and harmony. Why don't
I want to say something here, because I know I have Polish audience too. It's very difficult for me to be aware of this and to even listen to, no, I said it, Scott said it, but I'm just not bullshitting myself anymore. I see what's going on. So thank you.
You got to call it as you see it, people are welcome to disagree. But if you're going to disagree with either you or me, I would just ask the following. Don't disagree emotionally. Disagree with facts. If you don't think you're a cheap prostitute, show me that you're not. Show me you're a school teacher. Show me that you're, a PhD. Show me you're a lawyer. Show me you're something respectable in the world today. Because Poland is not a respectable nation in the world today. You're not. You serve the interests of your masters. You serve the interests of NATO. You serve the interests of the United States. They bribe you and you don't cost that much. So if you're providing a service for pay and the pay is low, you're a cheap prostitute. Admit it and then do something about it. But don't blame Russia. It's not Russia's fault. Russia's not going to invade Poland. You said Poland is calling Russia a terrorist nation. In my yard, moles come every summer and they wreak havoc on my yard. So I go out with pellets and I put the holes in the ground and I put the pellets in the ground and I try and get the moles to eat them so they die. I heard the moles got together a little while ago and they called me a terrorist nation. They said, Scott Ritter's a terrorist nation. Well, I'm in my house shivering with fear right now because the moles have decided that I'm a terrorist nation. That's Russia's response to whatever Polish parliament is doing. They don't care because you don't count. You don't matter. You can sit there and pass laws that make you feel important, make you feel power. Russia simply doesn't care. And you know who else doesn't care? Your pimp. Your pimp don't care either. Like the
isn't it coming from the pimp? Isn't it pimp telling?
No.
Polish politicians.
No, because pimps and cops have a relationship. Pimps and cops have a relationship. All right. The prostitutes aren't part of the pimp and cop relationship. Prostitutes sit in their cheap little hotel room and complain. And that's what's happening here. Complain about the Johns and the pimps and the cops. But the pimps and the cops have a relationship. The pimp isn't going to do anything that gets the cop to change the relationship. The United States has said we're not going to call the Russians a terrorist state, because when we do that, all diplomatic interaction ends. And the United States doesn't want a nuclear war with Russia under any circumstances. And they're damn sure not going to go to nuclear war with Russia over a cheap Polish prostitute. So no. So Russia doesn't care. So now you said, what is Russia going to do? Russia is going to manage the Ukraine problem in a way that solves the issue of the Nazis and the NATO military, but minimizes the potential for conflict with NATO. The move is up to Poland. I mean, are they going to make a move into Western Ukraine? There's the million-dollar question. And Belarus has the answer. I'll tell you this right now, and I hope the Polish people are listening. There's a better chance of Belarus occupying Western Ukraine than Poland. Poland will never occupy Western Ukraine. If Poland tries to occupy Western Ukraine, it'll become the graveyard of every Polish soldier you send. Everyone will die, be wounded, or captured. Belarus has said, no, it isn't going to happen. They're not letting you in. And if you think you can take it, understand that Belarus is backed by Russia, and you will never beat Russia. This ain't going to be the miracle on the Vistula. This isn't going to be 1921. This isn't going to be the Polish army driving Budeni's Red Cavalry back to Kiev. No. Read your history books if you want to feel good about that. It's over. You can't do it. You won't do it. So don't even think about doing it. No one is coming to Russia's assistance. There will be no Iranian horde, North Korean horde, Chinese horde. Russia doesn't need it. Russia doesn't want it. Russia has more than enough capacity to deal with the situation. As Putin has famously said, we ain't even gotten started yet. So this partial mobilization, if it's insufficient, there'll be another partial mobilization. And Russia can go all the way up to the 25 million people in their reserves as needed. And then if they have to mobilize people who aren't in the reserves, they can mobilize 25 million more. Russia is willing to do that.
But do you think other countries will get involved in this from, let's say, India, China?
They already are.
Okay.
What do you mean, will they get involved? India and China have provided the economic lifeline to Russia.
Right. So, I mean, this is, to me, still being here, not much longer though, watching this, I mean, Scott, the level of how stupid those people are that are in very high positions in Poland is just beyond my level of understanding this. Okay, so all right, now let's go into Zelensky.
First of all, let me say something, please.
Yes.
I apologize to you for using rough
words.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. No, I mean, thank you.
I know we were riffing off of what you said, but the gentleman in me, it's not proper. But I think it was relevant. And anyways, I apologize for that.
Thank you. I appreciate, but I use this word because there's no other word that is more accurate to how I see the dynamic. So I had to, I mean, I could talk around, but okay, whatever people like.
Well, I wasn't clever enough to talk around, so I had to go straight into the allegory that you use. So.
No, but it actually, it shows you the picture because it's an example. Yeah. So before I ask you about Zelensky, well, actually, let me ask you about Zelensky because in one of the conversations, the latest conversation that you had, and I will ask you if you remember the name of the gentleman, he was from Russia, on the channel that will be attached down below, everyone. So please stop asking me. Down below the video, click more, go down, find the link. Okay, so that was interview, right?
But also remind them to click more, go down, find the link to Scott Ritter's book, and I'm joking.
Yes, and books, always books down below as well, which we will end this video with. And another breaking news from Scott at the end of the video. Oh, here we have
Maverick
another
says
guest.
hello. Yeah.
Maverick, hello, Maverick.
Franz Klinzevich was the guy's name. He's a senator in the Russian Federation Council, I think it's called. And he used to be a member of the Duma, a 7-year paratrooper veteran of Afghanistan. So he knows a lot about the military. I believe he's a lieutenant colonel. And he's a man who serves on the Security and Defense Committee. And I know that people in the West, are like, well, what is that? Think of him, if he was an American senator, he'd be on the Armed Services Committee.
Okay.
And that means he's powerful. All right. So this isn't a nobody. This is a powerful guy. He's also a member of Vladimir Putin's ruling party. So he has the ear of the Russian president. So when I interview this guy, I'm interviewing a player. This is a guy who's actually in the Senate body that makes decisions about defense and security. And he's a member of the Republic of the party, United Russia, I think it is, of the Russian president. So there's a direct line of communication there. This was a player that I interviewed.
Yes. So now, before I ask the question, because everyone will be, yeah, Scott has a YouTube channel. Someone is running a channel for Scott. That Scott is the main host. That it's not really his channel, but it's like his channel. I mean, anyway, you'll find it down below.
I do an interview. Other people manage the channel. And I'll also make this point. I make no money from this.
Okay.
I do this purely as a public service. I think, I wish there was a better host, to be honest. I'm not a good host. I try my best. But because what's happening is that I've interviewed nothing but heavy hitters, real important people of substance who should be given access to American media and Western, if only to inform people. And unfortunately, because they've shut that down, the only way they can get there is through the imperfect medium of me, a guy who's not trained to do this, really doesn't want to do this, but I'm doing it anyways. I give it my best shot, but I apologize for the roughness of the interview. I'm not a professional interviewer. I'm a professional interrogator, but I was told I'm not allowed to interrogate them. So I have to pretend to be a Mike Wallace type, interviewer. So we're trying, but I'm responsible for the content, meaning that I ask the questions. No one feeds me questions. I ask the questions. I even suggest the kind of people I want to interview. But how the show is packaged and how it's put out there is done by a Russian media outlet, Soloviev Live. And I know as soon as I said that, I lost 50% of the people are going, oh, he's a radical, he's this and that. I don't care what you think about Soloviev. All I know is Soloviev has allowed these people to have access to an American, gets to spend 40 minutes to an hour interviewing them in order to extract information that can be presented to an American and Western audience. So if you got a problem with Soloviev, I got a problem with you. Because Soloviev is not doing the interview. I'm doing the interview. And then the interview is provided to you without any additional filters. Anyways, there we are. Okay,
perfect. We got it clear and covered. So everyone knows. That guest said that Zelensky's family is held hostage by British forces. And when he said it, my intuition, instinct, spiritual thing, I'm like, he's right. I felt it, I felt that this is the case. So let me ask you, how do you think, how is this as far as controlling him, right? And then how long holding him in this position? Because this is very much probably the case. The family is held hostage.
The British government has provided Zelensky with personal security protection detail. I can't tell you who's controlling them. If I don't know British laws, so I don't know if the Special Air Service can provide that kind of direct support, or if it has to be filtered through the Secret Intelligence Service, MI6. But what I do know is that Zelensky and his family, their security is being overseen by trained personnel with extensive experience in the Special Air Service. These are the same people that provide personal security service to the Prime Minister and then other important British officials. To say that his family is being held hostage. I mean, first of all, why are the British taking personal responsibility for this? Because Zelensky's life's at risk, not from the Russians. They're not trying to kill him. You know, there's an old saying in the military, when the enemy's doing what you want him to do, just let him do it. Just stand back and let him do it. And from the Russian perspective, Zelensky's doing everything Zelensky is the most destructive, presence in the Ukrainian government today. He's destroying relations between the presidency and the military. He's straining relations with the West. He's creating economic divisiveness internally. And so from the Russian perspective, it's, everybody's like, why aren't you killing Zelensky? Why would I kill Zelensky? If I killed Zelensky, they might replace him with somebody competent, and we don't want that. So it's not Russia trying to kill this guy. It's different forces within Ukraine that are trying to kill this guy. And so that's why the British have taken over, because you can't trust Zelensky's security to Ukrainians because they'll kill him. So now, are the British holding him hostage? Well, I have to say that when you allow yourself to have that kind of leverage put on you, because now the life of his family, and I assume Zelensky is a man who loves his wife. I assume this. There's no reason for me to doubt this. I believe he's deeply in love with his wife and he fears for her safety. I think he adores his children. He loves his children. I think he's a good father. I think he's a good husband. And so his family means a lot to him. And so when your family is now being protected by this outside service that's connected to a government that is putting pressure on you to do things, how do you tell that government no? I don't think the British aren't so crude. They're not like the Americans. The Americans, we're just straight up in your face. We got dirty pictures of you, son. And if you don't do what we want you to do, we're going to publish the dirty pictures on Thursday. That's how we operate. The British are like, oh man, it's a complicated situation. I wouldn't want anything to happen to your family. I mean, we've got plenty of security there, but it's tough. Why don't you help us out? kind of stuff.
So it's like
I think the Russian
good policeman and bad policeman, kind of.
Yeah, I think it's basically, hey, we got everything under control. Don't worry about your family. We got everything under control. Now let's talk about this. But the fact that you told me not to worry about my family means I'm worrying about my family because you brought it up, and that's how is this literally being held hostage? No, but the effect is the same. So Franz Klintsevich is 100% correct. Zelensky is not his own man, and nobody could ever be their own man if their family, if the security of a family that I assume he loves dearly is in the hands of outsiders who work for a government whose goodwill towards you depends on what you do in response to the instructions you're being given by that government. So
this is it for today, Scott, but the breaking news is, are you back on Twitter?
I'm back on Twitter.
What happened?
Well, I woke up this morning, Maverick got me up, and I was in a bad mood. I got off on the wrong side of the bed because it was about a half an hour earlier than I wanted to get up. And so I'm going down, I let the dog outside and I turn on my phone and I start scrolling. And I read that Elon Musk bought Twitter. And now what everybody was saying is, Scott, you have to ask to be brought back in, ask to be allowed back in. I said, free speech, you don't ask for free speech. Free speech isn't something I need your permission to engage in. If Elon Musk is serious about free speech, then I'm going to exercise free speech. So I went and I made a Twitter account. Now I'm not allowed to under Twitter rules. I'm permanently banned. And it says if you're permanently banned and they find out that you made an account, even a shadow account, an account, they'll ban that one too. Hey, Twitter, I just made a damn account.
Okay, what's the
I broke your words.
What's the account?
Well, it's under my name. It's Scott Ritter. But people are saying, well, you have to go back to your original account, at Real Scott Ritter. No, I'm not going to do that. I don't need your permission to do anything. This is free speech. So it's at author_himself. That's me, the author himself. Scott Ritter at author_himself. I didn't ask permission. I'm openly violating Twitter rules. I put the account out there. And if Elon Musk is serious about free speech, he won't do a damn thing about it. It's a challenge to Twitter. I'm breaking your rules, Twitter. Your rules suck. Your rules are about the suppression of free speech. You're an American company. I'm an American citizen. Free speech is everything. So here I am, exercising my free speech. I dare you to ban me. I dare you. They won't, because Elon Musk has put his reputation on the line. But if he does, then he just exposes that he's not a believer in free speech. But people are like, no, you need your own account back. I'm not asking permission to do this. I don't want permission. I don't need permission. You never need permission to exercise free speech. Never. We should just ask them to unban you. That means that my free speech is dependent upon the goodwill of somebody else? No. If it's free speech, I join Twitter on my terms, my conditions, and I will tweet what I want to tweet without fear. And the first tweet I put out was about Bucha, which was the issue that I got banned for.
Right, the one that, yeah.
So I put out a tweet that, again, I told you I woke up in a bad mood, so I issued a bad mood.
What a day, everyone.
But it basically just said, testing. I said, Bucha is a war crime. Ukraine committed it. Testing. I'm back. So we'll see. But now I'm in a better mood. I'm in a combative mood. You got me in a combative mood today. That's why you shouldn't have asked me those other questions. I was a little too riled up. But no, it's fun. Look, let me just say this. I went on Telegram after I got kicked off of Twitter, and it's taken me a while to figure out Telegram. And I'm still not very good at it, but it's like a family. I mean, the channel, you know, I formed a channel, but then you do this chat channel, and I did that, and then these wonderful people said they wanted to be moderators. I didn't know you had to pick moderators for a channel, because if I hadn't, the channel would have gotten out of control. People would have just come in and and plus Telegram, a lot of Russians are on it, a lot of Russians, and they're out there just chatting away in Russian. I don't speak Russian very well. It's even worse. And I'm just sitting there going, I don't understand 60% of what's happening here. And I figured out that I could translate it and I could read it and all that stuff. And then half the stuff I'm like, whoa. And these people said, Scott, if you don't bring moderators in, you're going to lose control of the channel. So I went out and I picked 4 moderators. Well, I didn't pick, I asked them, they said they do it. You're the best people in the world. They put so much time in that. I feel guilty the amount of time they put in, but they have turned this chat room into the kind of forum of debate, dialogue, and discussion that is what free speech is about. People can exchange points. We don't allow insults. We don't allow, sexual abuse. We don't allow anything sexual. We don't allow bad language, although on occasion I violate that when I get angry, and stuff. But they've created a extremely well moderated, open environment for the kind of debate, dialogue, and discussion that is empowering. And so I'm, people are like, oh, are you going to leave Telegram? I'm not leaving Telegram. I feel at home there. Twitter has its value, but right now I'm just trolling. I'm out there, okay. And if I find a tweet that it just begs to be responded, I'm responding. Maybe someday I'll grow up and go back to being mature and try and put things. I'm going to publish my articles there, and I'll put this video on there. But right now, I'm just a Twitter assassin. My job is to go through Twitter, find stupid things put out by people who are supposed to be smarter than that, and hit them with a volley. So I'm in a good mood right now. You see, this morning I woke up in a bad mood. Now I'm in a good mood. So.
Thank you, Scott. So the Telegram link will be down below. The Twitter account, which I will do my best to find, will be down below. The links to Scott books and that interview that I've mentioned to that channel
and
as well.
Just on that interview too, if you go to that channel, I think he's the 10th interview that I've done.
The latest one. The latest one. Yes.
Go back and look at them all. These are big players. These are people who matter, and they're giving points of view that, again, I don't expect people to agree with. I don't agree with a lot of the stuff they say, but it's not the Scott Ritter knows everything in the world show. It's the Scott Ritter is interviewing Russians that matter and giving them a chance to put a voice to Russian concerns. I'll ask questions.
Yes.
Then my job is to sit back and just let them speak, answer the question, and then give that answer to people and let them formulate. That's how you empower yourself with knowledge and information.
Yeah. This is exactly, don't we need this right now more than anything? We just need all different perspectives and statements and opinions and facts presented by different places to make our own judgment. That's it.
That's it.
Not to be told what is this way or what is that way, and we cannot think certain way, we have to think like that. It's just,
well, and just to build on that too, you know, I have to be honest, I didn't start, you know, I forget when, when in the January, February timeframe, when this whole fear of an invasion came up, I think I might have done an interview with you. I think you were one of the first ones I did an interview and it took off. I did
with with Regis. You did with Regis.
But I mean, but I did it because I'm literally at home minding my own business. Back then, my emails were much smaller, meaning I had less volume, so I could actually, get bored. I'd be writing a book, playing World of Warcraft, which I don't do anymore, and then an email comes up, and I said, "Oh, you want to do an interview? Why not? Why not? I mean, sure. Talk, boom, man, that thing took off. Next thing I know, you're contacting people, want to do interview, and I'm just like, okay. And then next thing I know, I'm a freaking, excuse my language, I'm a phenomenon. I didn't want to be. I don't want to be. I want to be able to, I just want to sit here and play with my dogs, write books, play World of Warcraft. That's it. But can't do that anymore. And that's okay. But I didn't set out to be a trendsetter. I certainly didn't set out to be a prophet or somebody's go-to person. My job here isn't to tell you how to think or what to think. My job isn't to be the sole source factual information. I hate it when people go out and say, Scott Ritter said. That bothers me a lot. Yeah, I'm saying things, but I'm not saying it so that you absorb it and repeat it without question. This process that you and I are involved in is designed to be an empowerment process for people. I'm providing data, and I've said this before, it would really make me feel good if every time I appeared on an interview like this, everybody just assumed that I was in fact a paid agent of the Russian Federation. I'm the worst thing you could possibly imagine. I am out here to distort facts, warp your mind, and get you to do things on behalf of the evil Russian Empire. Why do I want you to believe that? So that you research everything I tell you. Everything.
Majority won't, but Scott, majority won't.
I know they won't, but which is one of the reasons why every day I feel like unplugging. I just want to unplug. This is supposed to be a process of empowerment. But people put a lot of weight on my shoulder by giving so much credence to what I say. I try to be accurate in my analysis. I'm professional enough not to give what I believe is irresponsible analysis. And I have to say that I'm comfortable with the analysis I've given. I think history has shown the majority of what I've said has turned out. And when I'm wrong, I'm not wrong because I intended to be wrong. I'm wrong because nobody's perfect, because we're dealing with incomplete data sets. I don't sit in the table with the decision makers. I don't know what their parameters are. So I have to make assumptions. And you know what happens when you assume? You make a blank out of you and me. So it is what it is. And that's okay. That's why today was such a fun day. Because I have to tell you, I've been feeling a lot of weight, a lot of pressure on it, because everybody keeps saying, Scott, what's going to happen? Scott, what's going to happen? I don't know.
Yeah, I know the people, and yeah.
and so today was fun because I could get on Twitter and just blast, and so I'm in a relatively good mood today. So, and this interview has made me feel better, but I thought it was important to put that in there because I made some predictions today on your channel. I believe the predictions are well-intended. I believe they're based upon, good information. But people, please don't treat it like the Bible.
Yeah.
It's not. It's not the Bible. It's just my assessment, my interpretation. Absorb it, but there's other people out there too. Go out and find different opinions. Find people who disagree with me and listen to them, and then make your own decision. And if at the end of the day you say, I agree more with Scott Ritter, great. But at least you can explain why, other than just say because Scott Ritter said it. If your only answer as to why do you believe that is Scott Ritter said it, then you've got a problem. You've got to be able to say, because when Scott Ritter said it, I went and did the research. I bounced it off these, that, and the other thing. And at the end of the day, I think he's more right than wrong. So I'm comfortable with going with this assessment. But that means it's not my assessment now. It's your assessment. And that's what makes it powerful, that it's your assessment, not my assessment.
Thank you so much for today and for being frequent guest, and everyone who's watching. If you appreciate Scott's work, you know where to find the links, and you can always leave thumbs up free of charge, just saying. And until next time, I hope. Thank you, Scott.
Thank you for having me, and until next time.